Hello and welcome to another Royal Reviewer live channel episode, and today I want to do a video about series 4 of The Crown on Netflix. It has been released and I did watch the first episode last night, so I thought we'd just talk about it. Maybe I could do other episodes if you wanted me to. I don't typically tend to binge watch, so I normally like to kind of savour the flavour, so to speak. So I will probably be watching one a day, one a night, one every other couple of days, just to kind of stretch it out a little bit. I'm sure some of you have already watched a load of them, and there's already a lot of reviews coming out pertaining to different episodes. So I thought we would just concentrate on the first episode, which is what I have watched last night. Hello to everybody welcoming. As always, this is a live chat, so let's just talk about series 4 of The Crown, episode 1. So, no, okay, I better warn about spoilers. Lady Buckingham says, "You are not giving spoilers, are you?" Well, I am, because I'm going to talk about episode 1, so please don't give me spoilers about any of the future ones. But with these kind of things, I mean, spoilers, we already know what happens. This is history. So they are recreating history. So we kind of already know, what happens with the story. We know where it all goes. But yes, I am going to be talking about episode 1 of season 4 of The Crown. So if you haven't seen it, stop right now. And if you carry on, it's your own fault if you get a spoiler. So there we go. Right, yes, how is everybody? Do let me know. So, where shall I start? First of all, I'd like to say that, let me just adjust the camera, that I was really looking forward to this series, and I've read lots of like how they recreated Diana's dress, and Emma Corrin. I mean, we have basically seen pictures of her for months and months and months dressed up as Diana, because of course she is taking the part of Diana. She looked absolutely amazing when I first saw the photographs, so I was hugely anticipating what was coming up. And of course, just to read through the cast, we have Olivia Colman playing the Queen, Tobias Menzies as the Duke of Edinburgh, of course Helena Bonham Carter as Princess Margaret, Gillian Anderson as the Prime Minister Margaret Thatcher, that's a new addition, Josh O'Connor as Prince Charles, Emma Corrin as Diana, as I've just said, Marion Bailey as Queen Elizabeth, the Queen Mother, Erin Doherty as Princess Anne. I love the portrayal of Princess Anne, we'll get to that in a moment. Stephen Boxer as Dennis Thatcher, of course Margaret Thatcher's husband, and Emerald Fennell as... Emerald. I didn't know her name was Emerald, but Emerald Fennell as Camilla Parker Bowles. Again, another new addition. So, let's just kind of talk about the episode. I'm not going to talk about it necessarily in order of how things happened, but basically Margaret Thatcher and the Queen. So, of course, in the late 70s and the 80s, Britain had a new Prime Minister. The Conservative Party won a landslide election, and Margaret Thatcher was the first female Prime Minister that Britain and the United Kingdom had ever had. So this was always going to be a really important role to play. Who was going to fill it? Well, they finally settled upon Gillian Anderson. Now, I didn't know, I had my doubts about how she was going to portray Margaret Thatcher. You know, Margaret Thatcher has an incredibly distinctive voice and an incredibly distinctive look as well. You know, the hair, the clothes, everything. Quite a tough part to play and get right, I think. But from episode 1, I think Gillian absolutely nailed it. The voice was on point. Of course, hair, makeup, wardrobe was completely on point, as is so much with The Crown. Lots of things are very accurate with attention to detail with all the clothes and costumes and the hair. So I thought that she was really good. And of course, they played on the relationship between the Queen and, of course, Margaret Thatcher. And of course, it was always said that the Queen was very curious of her first female Prime Minister, but also very kind of enthusiastic about having one. I mean, the Queen most certainly kind of wasn't put off by having a female Prime Minister, and of course she'd only been used to men before. So it was a very landmark role for a woman in the UK back at that time. It set the tone for the fact that, you know, there could be future female prime ministers. Of course, we didn't get another one until only a few years ago with Theresa May. But it kind of it broke that kind of glass ceiling here in the UK. And of course, in other parts of the world, that glass ceiling is still to be broken. But in the UK, that was broken with Margaret Thatcher in the late 70s and the 80s. I think I liked the kind of portrayal, that kind of toing and froing between the Queen and Margaret Thatcher. With I loved the fact of the Queen trying to kind of guess the cabinet, and the fact that she got most of them right. She kind of studies the cabinet a bit like horse racing form, and it kind of ended the kind of conversation with the Queen, Margaret Thatcher, kind of talking to Dennis, her husband, back at home, that she kind of thought that they would work quite well together, and actually they kind of did. They did have quite a good relationship between them. Also, I find it very interesting how they explored Margaret Thatcher's kind of take on feminism, because Margaret Thatcher was not actually known to kind of be a feminist, and you'd think that she was by being the first female Prime Minister of the UK, but she really wasn't. She didn't really appoint any females to cabinet. She kind of wanted to be, I suppose, the only one. She liked being surrounded by her men. And of course the Queen thought that maybe she would have more females in the cabinet. She kind of didn't really. She kind of didn't have females in those really high office roles within cabinet. I think she reeled off a whole list of reasons as to why she thought that women couldn't occupy high office. So basically she was saying, but I'm not any of them, I'm different. I am kind of, unfeeling and all the rest of it. And the Queen kind of said, well, I think we'll get along quite well because, you won't find any of that with me, is what she said. And I think that kind of summed up the relationship. Both of them could be very kind of duty-bound, hard-working, slightly, not non-emotional, shall we say. And in that respect, I think the Queen and Margaret Thatcher were very, very similar. And I liked the way how The Crown explored that relationship. And I look forward to seeing that relationship develop very, very much in future episodes. Right, let's move on to Charles and Diana. So, by the way, a lot went on. A lot of kind of... I always think episode 1 of anything is always a bit like setting the scene. So there was a lot of different threads set up in episode 1. Charles and Diana was one of them. So here we see a 30-year-old Prince Charles looking for love. We haven't seen Camilla yet, but we hear mention of Camilla. He's kind of carrying on his relationship. He's having an affair with Camilla, a married woman. Lord Louis Mountbatten, his who he considers to be almost like a father figure, or an honorary granddad, so to speak, honorary grandfather, is kind of trying to lead him in the direction of finding a suitable bride, a virgin, someone who could be moulded into the shape of the royal family. And we kind of see Prince Charles dating Diana's older sister, Lady Sarah, who later becomes Lady Sarah McCorquodale when she actually marries. But yeah, so Charles is kind of dating the older sister first. We see Lady Sarah kind of getting all ready for Prince Charles's arrival. He comes. She tells Diana to stay away. Diana is kind of dressed in her kind of Midsummer Night's Dream costume, fantasy costume. So she kind of scurries in and hides behind a column in the main hall and kind of peeps out and says, please don't say that you've seen me. Sarah wants everything to be perfect. And Charles kind of almost is enthralled by this kind of nymph-like creature. And it's not until years later, when Louis Mountbatten is blown up, we'll get to that in a moment, where Diana kind of steps out as Charles's car is coming, his vintage car, and she kind of looks and says, "No, excuse me, sir, I'd like to pay my respects, blah, blah, blah." And it's only then that Charles says, "Have we met?" And she says, "Yes, I was dressed as a tree," or whatever she was dressed as from Midsummer Night's Dream. Then he remembers kind of, being, I think, rather enthralled and encapsulated by Diana. So he rings up Sarah and basically asks her permission if it's okay to contact Diana. So he gets her number. He basically gets Diana's number. By the way, at this point, she is living in London. She's working as a kindergarten nurse, a nursery nurse. And she's living with 5 other friends in a kind of shared accommodation. So basically, Lady Sarah reveals to Charles a whole load of reasons, why he shouldn't be interested in Diana. One of which is that they call her Dutch because she always kind of thought that they always thought that she was destined for grander things. Anyway, he gets the number, rings, and arranges to meet and date and all the rest of it. So I'm looking forward to seeing that relationship develop. And of course, we all know kind of what happened. Meanwhile, Lord Mountbatten advises Charles to kind of, find this suitable bride, which I think kind of rekindled that interest in the very kind of virginal, easily moldable Diana. So yeah, that was very interesting to see the kind of start. Again, Emma Corrin just embodies Diana. She's got the hair, the kind of voice, the look. I don't think they could have found a more perfect actress. I said months and months and months ago that I thought she got the look down, and I thought that really the kind of test would be, has she got the mannerisms? Can she actually really fulfill the role? And I think she did. I think she really embodied that role as Diana. So I was very impressed with her portrayal. Lord Louis Mountbatten. Now, of course, a key figure in Prince Charles's life, and of course the Duke of Edinburgh's life. He's been a mentor to the Duke of Edinburgh and in turn Charles. And this episode also explores that theme. So, Lord Louis Mountbatten was actually in Ireland at the time, near Sligo, and basically the IRA planted a bomb on his boat and blew him up. And we saw the scenes where he went out fishing and the boat just exploded. It killed him and one other child, I think. So the news was fed back to Prince Charles, to the Duke of Edinburgh, and to the Queen. The Queen was currently out with Anne, hiking. I think they were at Balmoral. And it kind of showed all of their reactions to losing a key figure in their life. Also, Margaret Thatcher kind of vowed on the phone, after giving her condolences to the Queen, she vowed that Britain would kind of basically get retribution and from the IRA basically. It explored how all of them kind of in turn kind of had felt the ramifications of his loss. There was a really touching scene where the Duke of Edinburgh was kind of talking to Charles. Basically, Louis Mountbatten had written a 500-page description of how instructions of how he wanted his funeral, and Charles was chosen to do the reading. Basically, Philip was kind of put out a little bit that he wasn't doing the reading, but he explained it to Charles in a way that, well, Louis Mountbatten was a key figure in my life. I saw him as a father. Then his attentions shifted onto Charles, and then Charles saw Louis Mountbatten more as a father. But basically he was saying, but you haven't lost a father. You've still got a father. You've still got me. So that was a very touching moment that I think kind of pulled at the heartstrings a little bit. It also showed a scene of the funeral of Lord Louis Mountbatten and Charles doing that reading as well. It also explored the relationship, I think, as an adult between kind of Anne and the Duke of Edinburgh and Charles and the Duke of Edinburgh. Basically kind of showed that the Duke of Edinburgh had a really good relationship with Princess Anne, kind of explored the fact that we all think that Anne is his favourite child. They are very similar, of course. And it showed Princess Anne's kind of love of horses. She was doing lots of show jumping, and how the Duke of Edinburgh, Philip, was kind of really into what Anne was doing. And, it kind of showed the distance and separation between the Duke of Edinburgh and Charles, and the closeness and the bond between the Duke of Edinburgh and Princess Anne. So it kind of explored all of that theme as well. have I missed anything out? I don't know. Then it kind of, I forgot exactly where it ended, but certainly I think in episode 2 we are going to see a lot more of the kind of building up of the relationship between Charles and Diana. By the way, I love the portrayal of Princess Anne. She's one of my favourite characters in The Crown. I just think, you know, the no-nonsense, no-fuss Princess Anne is completely captured and represented in The Crown. So I really do absolutely love that. Right, I'm going to go up and read a few comments. Susan says, I love this show. When I saw that the season was on Netflix again, I was giddy with anticipation, and the actress playing is like Diana's reincarnation. She is most certainly really, really good. Sharona says, I wonder if the US will ever get a female leader. Time will tell. Let's put it that way. Knetta says, thanks for this. You're welcome. Oh, Amber says the Emmy race next year has been won by Gillian Anderson. Had her down. Potentially. I mean, it's a really good portrayal. So Gillian Anderson, I think, might be up there for a few awards. As is Emma Corrin, I think, as well. Knetta says, I am going to have to watch this series. Sharona says, I loved how sensitive they were when it came to the exploration on the Shadow 5. And Knetta says, sounds like it's a good series from everyone talking about it. Yes. Lisa says, they say this show doesn't get the facts right. Well, none of these kind of, you know, historical recreations get everything absolutely 100% correct. You know, there has been kind of inconsistencies, disputed parts about Series 1, Series 2 and Series 3. Nothing is going to be 100% accurate unless you have, you know, the people themselves telling you what happened. There's always going to be a certain amount of dramatization. There's always going to be a certain amount of rejigging things slightly so it actually fits a script, so that it makes a production flow, so that you can actually understand it. Of course, we're never going to know the private conversations that went on between people. Like, we aren't going to know whether or not the Duke of Edinburgh had that conversation with Charles about Louis Mountbatten. We don't know that happened, and we certainly don't know the words that we used. But it kind of, I like the way it explores that relationship that we all know that the Duke of Edinburgh's had a more tricky relationship in terms of personality type with Prince Charles than what he has had with Princess Anne. So I like the way that themes have been explored, even though we don't necessarily know if those things actually happened. So there is, you know, a certain amount of artistic license that we know that the producers of these sorts of things have to take, because you know, and like I say, unless you've got source evidence from the people themselves saying this is what they said, it's impossible to make something. So we have to kind of, you know, make allowances for the fact that it is entertainment, and it's not a documentary. It's an entertainment show that's based on what we know to be history, so to speak. So we do have to bear that in mind. Also, people have come forward saying that I mean, I haven't watched all of season 4, but apparently some people who know Prince Charles say that the portrayal of him is not the person they know. But I would say just enjoy it. Just sit down and watch it and enjoy it for what it is, basically. It's an entertainment show. It's fiction. Pat says, while it's based on reality, we must remember that the series is also fiction. Yes, absolutely. Let's go down again. Oh, Sharona said explosion. Right, I get you. Let me reread that comment, because I think, yeah, came to the explosion on, yes. They were very, very sensitive. It was beautifully shot, because it was kind of looking up through the water at the bottom of the boat, the hull, and you could just see the explosion. It was very, very beautifully done. Let's have a look. Lisa says, hello, long time no see. Hope all is well. I finished the whole season this morning. Wow, you're a binger. I'm not a binger. I don't binge. Patsy says, but I thought the royal family never get involved in politics. They don't. Part of the Queen's role is to kind of welcome the Prime... Well, no. What happens is the UK elects the Prime Minister... well, no, we elect the political party. The political parties themselves elect their own leaders. So we don't have necessarily, like you do, a presidential election that's basically on the president. We have like a party election, a general election. So whoever wins that basically goes to the Queen, and the Queen invites them to form a government. It's part of the procedure. But the Queen would do that whichever party got voted in. So it makes no difference who gets voted in. The Queen would do the same thing to whoever it is. And then every week the Queen has a chat, whether it be in person, usually in person, or if not possible, over the phone, where the Queen is informed on what's going on. And the Queen has a right to consult and ask questions and be consulted as well. And, you know, the Queen is a wealth of information which a Prime Minister can find useful to ask an opinion on. And the Queen is incredibly well informed. She receives red boxes every single day, basically an overview of what has gone on in Parliament. And the Queen reads all these. She has to sign into law anything which has passed through Parliament. That's not being political. That is fulfilling a constitutional role as monarch. So no, don't mistake what we see in the Crown as being political. It is fulfilling the constitutional role of a monarch. Lauren says, me and my mum just watched the first episode. It's really, really good. I would definitely say watch it if you haven't. Kimberly says, Mountbatten's death, that's a tongue twister, was so sad. I didn't know Thatcher was that way. Yeah, Thatcher was very non-emotional. She was very to the point. I mean, she was. Nancy says, but don't you feel it is about 90% true? I mean, like I say, we're never going to know the personal conversations, but in terms of kind of what happened, yeah, Mountbatten did get blown up by the IRA. We know that you know, Prince Charles dated Lady Sarah first. We know what happened with Diana. We know about the bulimia. So all these things kind of did happen. We just can't say categorically the Crown's portrayal is exactly how it happened. But we know that these things and these themes are explored because they did happen, if that makes sense. Christine says, great acting, costumes, yeah, dialogue and cinematography. This show has it all. It does indeed. We don't know how far they are going with these series entirely. So we don't know where the future series are going to conclude. So reading Kanetta's question, curious how they will reenact the tragic car crash that took Diana's life. We don't know if they're going to get that far. They may go that far. We don't entirely know, so we'll have to kind of wait and see with that one. I mean, I would like to see them do it all. I mean, there are some people that commented, I think, in an article I read, saying they shouldn't have portrayed Diana's battle with bulimia, that the scenes were too graphic. And my opinion of that is, well, it happened. Diana had bulimia. You know, the portrayal of, I mean, I haven't seen it yet, but I've read people's opinions of kind of binging, and then the purging. That is part of bulimia. And if that shows the reality of bulimia, I don't have an issue. The fact that it's hard to watch is kind of neither here nor there. That's reality, and I'd rather see a good slice of reality than having the reality censored, if that makes sense. Stephanie says, the Crown makes everyone seem so unhappy, but maybe that is just my American filter. There is definitely a culture difference, I think, between the UK and other places in the world. I don't think everyone looks unhappy in the Crown, and maybe that is the kind of British filter. I don't know. But you could be right with the whole filter thing. yeah, the IRA is the Irish Republican Army. Basically, that they want the whole of Ireland to be a republic, all of it. The British part to be fully Irish. Christine says, I wonder if we will see Andrew go to the Falklands. Maybe. And when I say fully Irish, I mean from Northern Ireland to be reunited, so to speak. El Kissing a Fool says, yes, this season is a bit sad, but I'm still enjoying it. I think it's alright. I don't think it's that sad. I mean, okay, it did start with a massive explosion and a death and a funeral, but, you know, hey, we have to start somewhere, don't we? Like I say, I think the whole episode kind of set everything up ready for future episodes. Let's just read off a list of known future episodes. So, episode 1 was called Gold Stick, and I've been trying to work out why the episode was called Gold Stick. And maybe I've missed it. Maybe I'm just having a blonde moment. I don't know. But why was the episode called Gold Stick? There was no gold in it, and there was no sticks. Am I being too simplistic? I don't know. You're probably going to tell me, and I'm going to go, oh, it was that. But no, I don't get why the episode was called Gold Stick. Episode 2 is called the Balmoral Test. Well, I get that one because the Balmoral Test is kind of like testing potential brides, so I get that one. Fairy Tale. Well, that must be the fairy tale wedding of Diana. Then episode 4, Favourites. Well, I can guess maybe what Favourites is about. Fagin. Well, that's when the Queen had the intruder in her bedroom, and he was a Mr. Fagin. So I know where that one's going. Terra Nullis. Ooh, is that Latin? And I'm not terribly sure what Terra Nullis means. Then number 7, the Hereditary Principle. Number 8 has a curious title of 48.1. Again, I'm not quite sure about that one. Number 9, Avalanche. Ooh, Prince Charles was caught in an avalanche when he was skiing. And yeah, so that must be that one. And number 10, War. Ooh, what would war be? Would it be the Falklands? Might be the Falklands War. We'll have to wait and see about those. Let's see if anyone's got any answers or thoughts on Gold Stick. Maria says, I think Princess Anne is so perfectly portrayed that as a young lady she surely behaved as in this. Yes, we certainly got a sense of the no nonsense, no fuss. Lady Buckingham says they have changed their minds and going to do a series 6. Yay! So that will take us to where? Will it take us past Diana? I don't know. Oh, a ceremonial mace is a highly ornamented. Yeah, but there was no. Oh, Gold Stick, as in the mace of Parliament, because there's been a change of Prime Minister, of government. Maybe, but normally the mace is used when there's the opening and closing of Parliament, not necessarily a change of government. I don't know. I'm still confused with the Gold Stick. MSNB says terrible unemployment and reduction of social services by Thatcher was the backdrop for the introduction of Diana and explains a bit of why she was so welcomed and loved by the British people. Well, I mean, coming in, some of the perceived failures of Thatcher's tenure as Prime Minister were not necessarily. Yeah. Oh no, I get what you mean. You're saying there was terrible unemployment before Thatcher. Yes. And she came in, and that was the backdrop of her introduction. I get you. I get what you're saying. Christine says, I think the Falklands is the war. Yes, I think war must mean the Falklands War. Oh, yes, intended to represent the official's authority. Maybe it is. Maybe it is just that. Pat Long says, I've started the favourite episode. You're ahead. Maria says, Gold Stick perhaps refers to strict rules. Maybe. And yes, I believe that Diana was a big breath of fresh air. Right, I'm going to leave it there. So I think we've spoken a lot about episode 1. I don't want to go off too much of a tangent or make this video too long. If you've enjoyed this kind of review of episode 1 and you'd like me to talk about episode 2, I'm probably going to watch it tonight. I don't know, maybe. then do let me know, and I can do others. I just thought I'd talk about episode 1, but if you want more, do let me know. You can let me know by giving the video a big old thumbs up, by leaving a comment, and of course subscribing to the channel. So from me in Shropshire, mwah, to you all, and goodbye.